And they say book nerds aren't strong. Hi everyone, it's Kay. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am so beyond excited to be bringing you one of my absolute favorite videos to film, and that is my top 10 books of the last year. In this case, it's 2022, and let me tell you, I was not expecting these books to be in the order they are. Like, I knew the top 2 going into this list, but then once I listed the rest out, and I was like thinking, and then when I finally placed them, I'm actually very shocked at what I have on this top 10 list, and at the same time, not really surprised at all, because I feel like this year is a year that I really just got into romance. And if you're going to tell me my entire top 10 was going to be fantasy, romance, and historical fiction, I might have been like, okay, sure. But I was not expecting there to really be one historical fiction, like 2 fantasies, and the rest be romance. That's really insane to me. Apparently I needed serotonin this year. But regardless, I'm super excited to talk to you about all of these books because I think this was my best year of reading. Maybe not in quantity, because I actually did not hit my Goodreads goal, but it's okay. It's literally a number. I'm gonna hit it this year. But quality, I have never given out as many 5 stars as I've given out this year. I'm gonna have to make a video of all the 5 stars I've given out this year. But I think almost every book on this list is a 5 star, and if not a 5, a 4.5. The quality of books I read this year was just absolutely fantastic, and I really just can't wait to share them with you. And I have my Books Are Magic shirt on. What better time to wear it than in my favorite books of 2022 video. So let's go. Now first, before we do my actual top 10, I figured I would run down with you guys my 3 honorable mentions. This first one's not really 3 because it is Spy Family. Owners of my heart, Spy Family, as you can tell, and as you probably saw in my last video, the Bookmas haul. But yes, these are honorable mention just because they're a manga, and I wanted my top 10 books to be purely novels I read this year. But just know Spy Family is always a favorite because I am obsessed with this family. I'm obsessed with this series. I'm obsessed with these characters. And as for my other 2 honorable mentions of this year, they are Dark Tides by Kimberly Val and Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee, and both of these are absolutely incredible in their own rights. They just did not make my top 10 list. However, both of these have really stuck with me. This was my second book of the year, and the ending of this, absolutely heartbreaking. Go read it. And then this one, I love this series. I love this trilogy. I love these characters. And honestly, I think when I read this, I was just not in a space to be really reading and engaged because I started this when I was starting school this semester. So honestly, that probably impacted my enjoyment of it, but it was still a high 4-starred, 4.5 star read. And I cannot recommend this series enough if you like fantasy, pirates, and all the Pirates of the Caribbean vibes. Okay, and now, probably my biggest shock of this list. I cannot believe this is actually one of my top 10 favorite books of this year, but I really think some of it is because A, I read this on my flight to Europe in the fall, and this was a 5-star read. I read this when the people around me were sleeping. I just connected with this book. You know what I mean? When those books that are, you can't explain why you love them, but you just know you absolutely devoured and loved, and it was everything you wanted in a book. Well, this was mine, and I think this is very much a personal opinion. I don't know how many other people would really love this book with the whole 5 stars I gave it, but if you like Greek mythology and you like fun romance, I highly recommend, but that is Apollo by Carly Spade. Now, let me tell you, the first book in this series was Hades, and I don't know if it's just because I'm a Hades Persephone girl through and through, or if the main character was as cringy as I remember her. So I was like, going into this with like, not low expectations, but I was like cautious expectations, but this blew it away. I had so much fun reading this book. I was laughing. I was just so happy reading about this couple. Apollo was everything, and honestly, Carly Spade is an absolute genius because the way she does this contemporary mythos series is she gives the Greek gods modern day jobs. So Apollo is a rock star, and our main girl, Lauren, is a ballerina. And these quotes, I don't know if Carly Spade has ever danced before, but she knocked it out of the park with some of these quotes about ballet and just about love for dance. I love this book, and I absolutely love their relationship because it was enemies to lovers vibes, but not really. It was more of like bantery and just, it was perfect, and I loved it, and I just absolutely loved Lauren in this book, and I am so happy that all the couples in this series make a reappearance because I cannot wait to see more of these 2. And now, this one I'm not as surprised by. And a common trend, I think, I read most of these on my travels, so I think some of the reason I love half these books as much as I do may be because of the memories I have attached to them. But even if not, They're so good on their own. So number 9 is Island Affair, and this is, honestly, if you're a Floridian or you know someone from Florida, I highly recommend this book just because of the Florida vocabulary and humor that goes into it, because Priscilla Oliveras, she knows, she understands, she's a Florida girl, and we're taking place in Key West here, and it's everything. Like, I don't know why. I think half my enjoyment of this book was because A, Lewis, B, Floridian humor. Honestly, this one is just so fantastic. I don't hear enough people talk about this book because it is so cute. But there's also like so much heart to it. So this is a fake dating situation with a firefighter who is the purest of pure I've read about this year. Like, he is so cute. And the way he just loves and respects our heroine in this, amazing. And then we have Sarah, and Sarah is a social media influencer, but she's also had problems with eating disorders in the past. But now she's kind of gotten her life figured out. But her family is coming down to Florida, and she was supposed to be bringing her boyfriend, who she's probably supposed to be engaged to by now, and he broke things off right before her trip. So she is bringing in Lewis to meet her family and just give them a sense of comfort, because ever since her past with her disorder, they've been worried about her and her job and all of that. I love this book so much, and I recommend it to everyone who loves romance. I think you will absolutely love this, and it's also just a perfect summertime read. So number 9, Island Affair. So now number 8, I'm not even gonna lie, I know the reason I love this book as much as I did, and it's because I did a whole solo Disney trip by myself, and I read this book in the streets of Hollywood Boulevard. I had Tower of Terror, my Starbucks, and it was just such a fun time. I am getting that vlog up at some point because it's probably one of my favorite videos I filmed this year. I've just not had time to edit it. So stay tuned for that. It's coming. I don't care if it's a year late, it's coming. And that is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, and I'm not even gonna lie, this book was like fated to get to me because I saw this advertisement when it came out on a Disney bus, and I DM'd Julie Murphy about it, and she reposted it. Then I won this book in a giveaway, not even like a month later. And then I read this book at Disney while I was staying at Disney and on my little solo Disney trip. So the story of this book, to me, and my experience reading it, is just everything personally. So there's no way it wasn't ending up on this list. But this book, we have a reality TV show. So if you love that trope, go for it. And we also have our beautiful plus-sized heroine, and Cindy, and she is a fashion designer. She loves designing shoes. They're her forte. And then we have our main guy, Henry, who is essentially the bachelor of the show. Not only is their relationship absolutely amazing, the way they meet is everything. And then I absolutely love what Julie Murphy did with the stepmother and stepsisters in this book. This is not your typical Cinderella retelling. She's not like the other girls. No, that's not what I mean. But this is just not your typical Cinderella retelling, because Cindy's stepmother, Erica, and her 2 stepsisters absolutely love Cindy with all their hearts. It was rocky in the beginning, but they come to love and cherish Cindy as if she's their own blood, and it is just such a beautiful relationship. Yes, they have problems, but it's real problems, and they are such a family, and they support each other no matter what, and it's just an absolutely amazing family dynamic, and I think that just added so much to this story. And then the reality TV show aspect of it was just super fun. Like, I appreciated it. And I know that a lot of reality TV romances are going around this year, and if you like that trope at all, I think you would actually really love this. It's super cute, super positive, and I just really loved it. And not to mention, like I said, my story of reading this book is just A+. And number 7 for my favorite books of 2022 is A Lady's Formula for Love, and this, my brand of romance. These are women in STEM and historical fiction. Like, sign me up. Is this cover not everything? This cover is everything to me. And not to mention, I found tabs, that's better, and I found tabs that match the cover, and I'm gorgeous. This book also, at the underlying tone of it, is just 2 people who have never had a home before, and it's about them finding home in each other and being able to forgive themselves and just self-acceptance, self-growth, while also falling in love with this person who feels like coming home. And it was so beautiful. And I cannot wait to read more of the series because it also hints at the next book's romance, and I'm here for it. But yes, we have a secret society of women in STEM. We're talking chemistry, biology, mathematics, physics, anything. And then at some point, the base of where this secret organization meets has been attacked. So her stepson hires Arthur, who he knows was ex-British intelligence, their secret service, who has done something in the past that he regrets and he has felt guilty for ever since. But he hires him to protect his stepmother. And honestly, the relationship between Graham, who is the stepson, and Violet is such an interesting dynamic because they're not really that far apart in age, so they're more of like siblings, if anything. But they definitely love each other. They're not like a normal family, but he loves her and she loves him. And Arthur sees that. So he's the bodyguard for this leading lady scientist who is not going to let a little explosion deter her work, and honestly, go queen. So Violet has been hired essentially to break a chemical formula or something. I don't honestly remember what right now, but she's been hired for that. So he's her bodyguard and force proximity, and it's awesome. Not to mention, it's kind of like forbidden romance because he has a reputation in society, and by being seen with him, she kind of hurts her own reputation, but she really doesn't care. And I am awful at explaining romance book synopses. Just go read this if you like women in STEM, historical fiction, and just an amazing love story. And then number 6, I don't know what's up with my tabs in this. They're a little far out, but we have Of Princes and Promises, and I am obsessed with this series. It's the St. Rosetta's Academy series, and I don't know if it just got like a bad rap. I don't know what it got, but no one talks about this series, and I absolutely love it. I love the first book, and I love this book, and they are all fairy tale retellings with almost all of the cast is like POC in some capacity, so that's really cool. So our first book was Beauty and the Beast, and I read that last year, and this book is a Frog Prince retelling, and there's also like a magical realism element to it, because this we're dealing with magic hair gel, and I don't know how to explain it other than that. But we also have popular girl, shy boy, nerdy trope, and when her boyfriend has kind of like humiliated her and dumped her, and her popularity is going down the drain, she needs a fake date to some of these really popular events because she is rich, she needs public appearances, and who better to do it than secret, nerdy, socially awkward Raoul, who has absolutely been in love with her since he first got to talk to her. And it is so insanely pure because it's secret relationship and fake dating, but it's also our Ice Queen Katerina breaking down her barriers because this shy, nerdy, awkward boy shows her that she can be her true self and be loved. And it's such a cute romance. I love it. It's so cute. And if you love fairy tale retellings and honestly just are here for some cute boarding school vibes, I recommend this because I would love to see more people talk about it. And now we're going into my top 5 of this year, and honestly, all of these bangers, all of these, amazing. I am so happy with all of these, and that they all made it onto the top 5, even if I wasn't expecting it. I'm so unbelievably happy. So first of all, we have number 5 is Legendborn, and I am the last, I'm not kidding, the last person on this platform to read Legendborn. I have owned this since it came out, but I just now finished reading it, and it took me almost 4 months because I never had the time because I knew I would be invested in this. So I literally scatter read it from September until December, but it's finished, and I love it. The hype, worth it. And it's also, Tracy Deonn has created such a complex world. This feels like reading adult fantasy, but without, I don't know how to explain it because this feels like reading an adult fantasy. It's complex, it's wonderfully written, and even though it is an urban fantasy, there are elements of it that feel like epic fantasy. I feel like this could be YA or adult, honestly, but it is YA. When I read this book, I read Tracy Deonn's author note first about why she wrote this book and her own story with her own mother and how grief has influenced her life. And I think that was one of the best decisions I made because after reading her note and her own experience and how Bree's story is her story, I feel like I appreciated this book so much more. I think this book is absolutely insane, and just knowing what Tracy Deonn went through and why she wrote this book broke my heart. But it was also just so beautiful to witness through Bree how she found closure almost, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. I don't know, how do I talk about this book without spoiling it when everyone has already read it? It doesn't matter. The magic system that Bree comes from is unbelievably smart, and then the Arthurian society is insane. Like, that is brilliant. And please leave below what side of the love triangle you're going for, because I am here for Nick and Bree all the way. Like, give them to me. They are the purest ship I have read about, and I absolutely love them with all my heart. But I'm also here for like platonic soulmate Bree and Sel, because listen, hear me out. Grumpy sunshine friendships, underrated. And Nick and Sel can deliver on that. So I'm really hoping in Bloodmarked we get that dynamic from them, because honestly it's hinted at in this one, and I think they could be such an iconic friendship. Give me all the grumpy sunshine best friends. But I also think it'd just be hilarious for Bree and Sel to walk into a room and be the friendship that raises Nick's blood pressure 100%, because these two are chaotic gremlins together. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Like, they would raise Nick's heart rate, give him a heart attack, just because they're in the same room together laughing at the same joke. Like, he would have a heart attack with these two, and I am here for it. Like, I think it'd just be hilarious, honestly. Have I actually explained why Legendborn number 5 read? I don't know, but I feel like you can tell I'm a very character-driven reader, and when there's an awesome plot thrown in, even better. I also think I knew the plot twist going into this. I knew the plot twist. and I was still shook by it. So honestly, go Tracy down. And now, I'm not even gonna lie, the fact that this book is number 4 of my favorite books of 2022 should just tell you how amazing it is, because I read this as an arc. This was my first read of 2022, and it is still in the top 5. And that is Castles and Their Bones by Laura Sebastian, and this book redefined my personality this year, I swear. So I read this as I was coming down from my Encanto high, where I just wanted something with triplets. And this book features triplet princesses who were raised to bring all the surrounding kingdoms to their knees. It was everything I wanted and more. I absolutely love Sophie. I just love where soft characters are proven to be powerful. It's like my favorite thing to read in books. And it's probably because I relate to them. I like when the kind, the generous, the soft-hearted characters are also the characters that can crumble kingdoms. It's amazing. I also really loved the relationship dynamics in here. Now, please bear with me. I don't know if this is going to be more or less coherent than the rest of the summers, but I did read this in January. But in this book, we have triplet princesses who were raised by their mother to be politically aligned in marriages to the surrounding kingdoms, so they can crumple them from the inside, so that their mother can become empress of all the world, essentially. And so we have Daphne, Sophie, and we have Beatrice. And all of them find their own problems, encounter their own situations, romances, friendships, and all of that in the places they've gone. But underlyingly, it is a story about how these sisters are so connected. I cannot even explain why I love this book, but just I connected with it. I loved it. I made a Pinterest board about it. And the ending of this book is insane. I need the next book. I need Stardust in Their Veins right now, because the way this book ended, I don't think I've fully even processed it. And it's been a year, because Laura Sebastian did not come to play with the end of this book. I was reading this and I just had to sit there for 5 minutes and be like, I did not believe I read what I had read. Like, this book, insanity. So yes, I don't know what else to say, but go read it. And now we are in my top 3 books of 2022, and all 3 of these books mean so much to me. And I cannot recommend any of them enough, because they are all so beyond special and so powerful in their own ways. I'm so excited they were my top 3, honestly. And once again, all of them have a really interesting story connected to them. So my number 3 book was Love and Olives by Jenna Evans Welch, and I read this in my road trip vlog. And that was honestly such a special memory to have attached to this book. But this book on its own is amazing. As you can see, it's also pretty chunky, so we love a good paperback. So this is the final book in Jenna Evans Welch's trilogy, Love and Gelato. Every one of her stories has a coming of age element to it, with heart and just raw emotion, and also in different places of the world, which is really cool. Book 1, Love and Gelato, was Italy. 2, Love and Luck, was Ireland. And this one, we are in Santorini, Greece. And when I was reading this book, we went to a Santorini-themed restaurant. So it was really fun. In this book, we have Liv, and her father and her were unbelievably close. He was her everything when she was a kid, but then he up and left her to find Atlantis. And with it, she made a list of the things he left behind. And she has never fully recovered from him leaving them. So it's just been her and her mom has remarried, and she has a little brother, and everything in her world is going right. But then one day, her father writes her that he has found Atlantis, and he wants her to come help him. And it's also going to be on a National Geographic-like show. And obviously, she's torn. But her mother thinks she should go, so she packs her bags and leaves to Santorini to visit her father and try to rebuild the relationship they have that she believes is shattered forever. And while she's there, she meets Theo, who is a film guru who is going to show her around Santorini. And she gets to live in a bookstore, which was everything to me. And along the way, she starts to believe that maybe her father didn't summon her here to find Atlantis. After all, maybe he summoned her here for something much more important. And I have never wanted to cry happy tears more than when I finished this book. It's everything. Liv is such a sweet character to root for, who you also just want to give a hug. Even when she makes dumb decisions, she owns my heart. I absolutely love her. And seeing her relationship with Theo grow and her rebuild her relationship with her father was just absolutely everything. And there was also just some fun elements of learning about the geography of Greece and its ties to Atlantis. I think that was a really fun bonus of this book. But underlyingly, Jenna Evans Welch never pulls punches when it comes to your emotional heartstrings, and I just cannot recommend Love and Olives and this entire trilogy enough. Okay, so my number 2 favorite book of this year for a long time held the place of number 1 until I read my actual number 1 book, but I read this while I was in Costa Rica for an entire month as an e-art, and it's a modern Grimm fairy tale that is somehow a collection of retellings while still being its own unique thing, and that is Violet Made of Thorns. And this was also a debut novel, which absolutely blew my mind because this writing is absolutely brilliant. And there's always just something special when a fairy loot pick is in my favorite books of the year, because I get to show off this amazing edition while I'm at it and to own one of my favorite books in a special edition format, which is always a bonus. So in this book, we have Violet, who is the seer, and she's also your essential pessimistic grump. She doesn't trust the world. She thinks the only thing worth relying on is herself, and all good luck is a scam because good, happy endings don't happen to people. And she is also working for the king and his son, Prince Cyrus, who is your stereotypical Prince Charming who absolutely gets on Violet's nerves. She is the witch, he is Prince Charming. The angst these two bring, oh my god. Like, I didn't think I liked enemies to lovers until I read books like this, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's some A+ angstiness. There's also a forbidden element to it because she's a seer and he is the prince. How can they be together? And because Violet's a seer, she can see the future, and she is also tasked with keeping the kingdom safe. And in her vision, she has seen that the world will be doomed unless Cyrus finds a bride. But she's also started to discover that maybe his father isn't really helping out matters. Either Violet, who is somehow an outsider and also one of the most important people in the kingdom, and she's trying to A, figure out what's going on, B, deal with her attraction to Cyrus, and C, not let the kingdom be doomed. This book is really, honestly, everything I love in fantasy. And if you haven't read it yet, please go read it because amazing. And now, my number one favorite book of this year cannot make me any happier. And I started like kind of raving about it in my bookmas haul because I bought this book before I had even finished it because I knew this was going to be a timeless favorite with the equivalent emotional impact on me as The Book Thief. And that is The Warsaw Orphan by Kelly Rimmer. And this is a book that will not be for everyone. I'm just going to preface that. It has so many trigger warnings and on-page violations of every variety, but it's also a book that is filled with such raw hope and just human nature to be good, even in the darkest situations, and how a human being can hope when it feels like the world is completely against them. And so, I take you back to Nazi-occupied Poland in the middle of World War II. So in this book, we are following two characters. One of them is a Jewish boy who is the last survivor of his ghetto, practically, and the other is a girl whose family has already been killed by the Nazis, and she is now living in secret with a new family in Poland. And these two cross by chance when Elizabeta, secretly from her parents, starts to go into the ghetto itself to try to help sneak out orphans and children so they can survive another day. And while she's there, she ends up finding Roman, who is angry at the world, angry at the Nazis, angry at everyone, but most of all angry at himself because he cannot protect his family from their unspeakably horrific circumstances of the ghetto. And from there, a friendship blossoms between these two, but also something more as we follow them throughout the rest of their childhoods, growing up in World War II, Nazi-occupied Poland, and every unspeakable horror that they all endure, while also fighting for each other and fighting for the ability to hope, the ability for a better future. Because at the heart of the story, it is humanity against war, good against evil, and vulnerability against shutting down. Honestly, this book is just so impactful to me because it has some of, honestly, the most graphic depictions of sexual assault and violence and just the horrors of war. But it's also a story just grounded in hope and finding beauty in terrible circumstances. And I honestly think if you like history, or you just honestly like having your heart torn to shreds and having it be rebuilt again, I think this is an amazing book everyone should really read. And honestly, I have never seen such clever foreshadowing before. Everything written on the page has a purpose, and everything in this book that is written down comes back at a later date to be addressed, resolved, or just extended upon. It is so beyond clever, and it also has just such beautiful language and character development and everything. You see these kids go from kids to adults in the worst of circumstances, still able to develop into mature, genuinely good people. I just love this book so much, and I'm so unbelievably happy I finished this in December and can name it my number one favorite book of 2022. Alright, this is like way out of order now, but this, ladies and gentlemen, along with Apollo, are my favorite books of 2022. And I am so unbelievably happy to have been able to share them all with you because I really love everything about all of these. So thank you all so much for watching this video. It means the absolute world to me that you wanted to hear about my favorite books and just allowed me to chaotically explain them to you and why I love them, hopefully in a way you understood. But please let me know what your favorite books of 2022 were. I want to know. I want all the recommendations, and I want to know why you loved them, because this is my favorite time on BookTube, to just hear us all gush about the books we've loved in the last year. And if you want to find me out there and hear more of my chaotic rambling, please subscribe, and my social medias are going to be linked below. And until next time, I'm Kay. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye!